Hi, my name is Marissa Hukin. I'm here with Red Liberty Media at the Young Women's Leadership Summit with Turning Point USA in Dallas, Texas. And here we have the lady of the whole event.
Oh my goodness.
Alex Clark. It is a pleasure to have you here and speak with you. So we're so excited to be at this event and meeting amazing people like yourself.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope you guys are having a really good time so far.
Yes, we are. This is my second year here, but it's even better because now I'm here with Red Liberty Media, so it's amazing.
What a dream!
Yes, it really is. So last night you spoke, and it was an amazing speech and really just kind of laying the groundwork for this entire event and what it's about. So one of the lines from it is that the old conservative movement can't come to the phone right now because it's dead, which is brilliant. So can you elaborate on that a little bit and kind of what you're envisioning for this new conservative movement?
Well, I think, President Trump really changed a lot of things for us, and we saw this more I'm having a brain fart. Populist. He kind of brought this whole populist movement, and really being a politician for the people. And I think even establishment conservatives have really lost hold of that. And we're being told by people, you've got the Liz Cheneys and the Mitt Romneys that are really degrading true conservatives, that everyday Americans, and saying like, no, this is not what the conservative movement is. And we are the, real people that are living everyday life, real voters. And we're like, no, this is what we want. You're not listening to us. What you guys have going on, that's dead, that's gone. That all changed with President Trump. We have a new movement now that is brewing, and we really do want it to be a focus on the voters and us as Americans. And so I think that's super important.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is so key. And a part of that too, right, is like people just kind of stepping out and really understanding what they believe and being so courageous, which is something that you talked about too, which really resonated with a lot of the women in the room as well, who have, gone through this journey of losing friends over their beliefs and all of that. So do you have any advice for those young women who are maybe still going through the thick of that and, dealing with just people being really upset by what they believe? Anything you could say to them?
You got to master the art of the friend breakup. Some friends are not supposed to be in your life forever, and that's really, really difficult. And that's something that I've learned in my 20s, is that there just comes a time where, and you don't have to be mean about it, there's a way to be really gracious and really sweet and still loving, but just, slowly but surely just kind of moving on from those people, maybe not inviting them to different things or whatever. You don't have to unfollow them on social media. We don't have to be that brutal like the left is to us, but there are some people that you're going to lose in your life, which is sad, but it is a reality. And then there's going to be tons of women that you gain, or friendships that you gain, coming to Turning Point events like the Young Women's Leadership Summit is one of those ways. I came to the Young Women's Leadership Summit before I ever worked for Turning Point USA for the first time in 2018. And the girls that I hang out with now and I work here and everything, those girls have become lifelong friends, will probably be my bridesmaids one day. And I met them at this first Young Women's Leadership Summit. So I've gained so many friends, even though, of course, I am just like you, where I've lost friends too.
Yeah, it's such a sad thing, but I think it is cool coming into the movement as well, is the fact that how conservative women also just differ from liberals, obviously, which in many big ways, but one of them just being the fact that I think in general they're just way more friendly and open and warm, which is beautiful, right?
Yep.
And I think something you touched on as well last night was kind of the parallel as well between being a conservative and a Christian, right? So we know in the Bible, of course, as Christians that we're going to deal with persecution and all of that, and now we're just seeing that as conservatives, right? And is there anything in general that you that maybe you've gone through too, personally? I know losing friends or whatever, things that kind of were that defining moment for you, even in your career. I know you kind of have a story of that when you made the decision to go in the conservative direction. Was there a defining moment that when you decided to do that, yes?
Yeah, so I actually worked in pop radio for 7 years before transitioning into politics and working for Turning Point USA. I was hosting morning shows in big markets in a few different cities. And, it really came time for me where I was getting a really big push and pull from my company in radio, just what I can and can't say, what I should or shouldn't post as a conservative woman. And I just thought, okay, I'm at a crossroads. I'm making a lot of good money. I'm in a place that I like to be. My friends are here. My family are in the city. It would be really easy to stay and compromise my beliefs, but the sacrifice that I would have to make for that would be to censor myself and not be able to really share who I am. And part of being in pop radio, if you ever listen to like a morning show on your pop radio station in your city, is that they're always talking about their personal lives and their dating lives, and you're supposed to be 110% transparent. But if I can't talk about why I believe what I believe and where my worldview pulls from, then I'm not being 110% transparent. And so I had to make that really hard decision of I might have to completely do a 180 in my career, and I have no idea what I'm going to do if I leave, but I cannot morally do what I'm doing, promoting the types of things that they were asking me to promote, trans pride events and all these different things, Planned Parenthood, the Women's March. These were all initiatives and sponsors that I was supposed to talk about on my morning show. And I said, I cannot in good conscience do this. And so I had to take that scary leap of I'm going to quit my really cushy job that I'd had for almost a decade and completely start over new. And literally the day before I was going to put my 2 weeks in radio, I had no plan of what I was going to do, and Turning Point DM'd me on Instagram and said, hey, we've been following you. We love that you're an outspoken conservative young woman. We'd love to work with you. Total God thing. The thing is that God does have a plan for us, and sometimes we are going to have to work somewhere in an uncomfortable position, maybe not forever, but maybe you're supposed to be there for a time to kind of be a witness either for your faith or even just conservatism in your workplace. And maybe you're not going to be there forever, but there will be a time where God's going to move you where you need to be. And sometimes that requires us to be a little uncomfortable. And I was there for the 3 years that I was there in that particular market. I was uncomfortable, but then it all led to me being able to host my shows, Poplitics and the Spillover with Turning Point.
Yes, I love that so much. And I think that's really important to know as well, is the fact that, it is sadly the case for conservative Christians that it does come to that point where you're like, I'm either going to be disingenuous and dishonest about who I am, or go down this other route and maybe be a little bit more well-liked overall, but it's like, is it worth that, So I love that take on it. And with that said, I know that yesterday you also did or released a podcast with Allie B. Stuckey, Relatable, which was amazing. And on there, a fun topic was that you were talking about the whole thing with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Yes.
So an insane trial and all of that. So with that, is there anything that you would say that as conservative women, or just in general, that is kind of the biggest takeaway from that trial? Obviously, everyone was following it so closely on just social media everywhere, and I was really following it through Poplitics, so thank you for that.
Good.
Anything on that?
Well, I would just say, that was such an eye-opener, I think, even for the liberal elite in Hollywood, that they were like, oh, this whole movement, the Me Too movement that we've created and promoted, maybe this believe all women sentiment all the time, always, for, any reason without asking questions, is not necessarily right.
Yeah.
There are sometimes gray areas. There is sometimes nuance. I don't necessarily think that Johnny Depp is a picture perfect, ideal man that never did anything wrong. I think they were toxic for each other. I think, from the physical abusive aspect, Amber Heard sounds like she was definitely physically abusive. I don't think that Johnny was physically abusive towards her, but they were both verbally abusive to each other. And anyway, what I'm saying is sometimes it's not as simple as believe all men or believe all women. Wow. Maybe people need to have due process and they're innocent until proven guilty, and we need to actually wait and get the facts and see what comes out before making these snap judgments on people, whether they're innocent or guilty. And I think even Hollywood celebrities who are very, very liberal saw this trial and thought, you know what? This narrative that Amber Heard was this victim and, Johnny Depp was this horrible domestic abuser and everything, maybe there was more to the story, and we were all really, really, it was an evil thing that we did to completely cast him out and have him lose movie deals and basically blacklist him for the last couple years without really knowing the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it was such a crazy trial, but my hope, of course, is for culture that maybe they're going to see this and just realize, like, okay, yes, maybe this Me Too movement was really a fraud. So that's definitely the hope for that, but definitely wild to be watching that and what's going to come forth from it as well. So with your shows, obviously Poplitics, which is an amazing take on pop culture that I'm sure conservative women everywhere appreciate so much as I do. It's amazing. And then also the spillover. You have some incredible guests on there, ones that I think people are not often hearing of elsewhere, which is just wild stories. Are there any that we can maybe be expecting in the future to come? Can you give us a little tidbit of that?
Gosh, so my podcast, The Spillover, which is anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, whatever, it's really an interview show where once a week, every Friday, I have somebody on that has an incredible, earth-shattering, jaw-dropping story. Yeah. It could be funny, it could be serious, it could be a celebrity, it may be someone you've never heard of, but no matter what it is, it's going to be like goosebump, hair-raising, crazy content. And that was really important to me. Like, what is a story that, as a listener, I would be on the edge of my seat the entire interview wanting to hear? And so I have had everyone from ex-psychics who used to be medium, new age people that then got saved and left that, literally saw demons. I've had people who... country singers, famous actresses. Alexa Penavega has been on, who was the Spy Kids actress, and she is such an incredible testimony. That was super cool. We have had women who have survived mass shootings, escaped serial killers. Gosh, I mean, so many things. Every single topic that you could ever think of. This one woman, she was in a total freak accident. She got married, and 3 weeks later, in her mid-20s, her house exploded. 3 weeks after she was married, got burns over 96% of her body. Mm-hmm. And I talked to her about when you are completely then disfigured in a freak accident, and you're newly married, how do you then go about your married life, going through all the surgeries? You look like a completely different person than who they married. How do you deal with those insecurities and move on? And it's just, that was a really incredible story. This week, so today, I don't know when this interview comes out, but when we're recording this, my new episode this week is with an amazing lady named Lacey Abercrombie. She's very famous on TikTok for satirical Christian comedy videos. But what people don't know is she's very, very funny. I would liken her to like the female version of John Crist, but when she was, so she's hilarious. But when and people think, oh, she's this really bubbly, funny girl, but she probably has a perfect life. And actually, when she was 11 years old, when she was really young, she was sexually abused. When she was 11 years old, she got addicted to pornography, and then kept that secret until she was in college, and at a Bible college, actually studying ministry, and then ended up confessing her secret and being totally redeemed by Jesus. And it is the most beautiful story ever. So that just came out on The Spillover. It's the Lacey Abercrombie episode, just about, how do you get over shame and overcome shame with Jesus?
Yeah, that is so powerful. So I'm excited to listen to that. And again, you really get into just like the deep stuff, heavy stuff, and also some lighthearted things too, but just really incredible and unique stories that you feature in there.
Thank you.
So love that. Last question then. So thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. Obviously with this conference, so I went last year and it was like the Barbie theme, and then this year is a little bit more edgy, which is so fun. Any thoughts yet on next year's theme and how you're kind of seeing this evolve?
It's so funny that you bring that up, because I've been thinking about that this entire weekend so far. I don't know what it's going to be yet. And that's why you need to come to the Young Women's Leadership Summit, because we give hints of what the theme will be, but you really get the full experience to understand the whole concept once you're here in person. So you have to make plans to be here in person. But yes, every year will be different. So last year was Capitalist Barbie, because Barbie, in America, in a capitalist country, she can have her dream house, and she can have 100 different careers, and her little dog and Ken and all this. She has this amazing life because she lives in America. She would never have that in a socialist country. So that was last year. This year we're pissed off, we're ready to make changes, we're ready to make moves. We're angry, but how do we challenge that and change that into activism for a positive change in the conservative movement? So that's why it's a lot of black and lightning, like the storm is coming, we're ready to make waves, we're not taking the left's crap anymore. So
Yes.
Next year is TBD, but I can promise you it's just going to get bigger and better, and every year will be different. So you never want to miss it.
Amazing. Well, it is such a blessing to be here, an honor to speak with you. Thank you so much. And we're so looking forward to everything that's to come with Turning Point and with this event. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you guys so much.